One of the things I always am curious about is as you were reading that, did a passage or a phrase jump out at you and have some personal meaning to you tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the section where it says failing to get these things according to my perfectionist dreams and specifications, I had fought for them. Um, 'Cause that's something that I've struggled with my whole life is perfectionism, and um, I have that's been a big part of my experience is trying to fight for these perfectionistic standards and trying to fit myself to an ideal of what I think I should be doing, who I think I should be, and
Yeah.
when when I couldn't embody those ideals or when things didn't go the way I wanted them to, that's where I would go straight to depression, self-pity, and just feeling bad for myself and um, something that I still struggle with daily.
Well, I appreciate you being, first of all, real open about that and honest about it and vulnerable because I relate to you too. That perfectionism in me was, I really saw it as such a curse because I could never, or I never felt like I was enough. I
Mhm.
was always, not measuring up. And how could I? It was, Bill called it an impossible way of life, right? In that letter. It was an impossible way of life. And I set these standards for myself that I was impossible. A funny thing happened to me in the program. And I share this with people because it's interesting what happened. When I came to the program, I thought the 12 steps would help me become perfect. I said, I didn't have the technology before, but now I got the key, right? Somebody's finally given me the key to perfectionism. And I tried to work the steps perfectly. I must have been a pain in the ass at meetings when I was a couple of years sober, right? Recently I celebrated 54 years, so that was a long time back there, right? But I really came in there. I was working the steps perfectly. And I'm really telling everybody how they should do it and they should do it to my standard, right? I was so full of crap. But the thing is, I couldn't see that at that point in time. I really thought that that was the trajectory that my life needed to take. Thank God that well got poisoned. Thank God. It really has gotten poisoned for me, man. The way that we think about it, Bryce, and I think this is important, is now with the training I've had as a Gestalt therapist, we talk about creating some distance between you and the part of you that says you have to be perfect, right? Because as soon as you get some space, this is something Tom Rutledge and I and Carly also talks about when we work with people, is that as soon as you get some space, in that space, you can start to learn how to deal with that part of you a lot better. And Dr. Kempler gave me a real good way to think about it. He says, Alan, you know, it's okay to strive to be perfect as long as you never fool yourself into thinking you can make it.
Mhm.
Isn't that interesting? So, and Bill, if you look at what Bill talks about with perfection, he says the same thing. There's nothing wrong with us aiming at that as long as we don't think it's achievable. Because then you just are really striving to be the best you can be.
Mhm.
Thank you, Bryce.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I appreciate that elaboration. It's an interesting topic, especially for emotional sobriety.
Isn't it? It really is. It really is. It really is. Well, as you know, this is our second evening um, of our new format. And the format is as follows, Tom Rutledge and I are going to be spotlighted. We're going to bring Tom here in a minute. We're going to do another nutshell wisdom of emotional sobriety. Then after that, I'm going to present a little bit about I'm going to continue with this theme of emotional sobriety and freedom, but I'm going to be looking at it from the point of view of developing emotional autonomy. And then I'm going to have Tom and Carly and Julia and Tom Potash join me. Then the last 25 minutes or so, we're going to open it up for people to share questions, to talk about something or struggle with. And, hopefully we'll get through a few people. If not, I'll give some people some feedback, and so will the rest of the panel. And we'll get through as many people as we can. So that's the agenda for tonight. So, Tom, why don't you join me in the nutshell wisdom segment of our program tonight?
I still haven't written a song I want to sing to begin this section, but I'll get to it. Yeah.
Please. I think
Yeah.
that would be good if we had a little song. I'm hoping Patrick Newman's going to put something together for us and have flash something on the screen, right? Nutshell Wisdoms,
That's right.
Tom Rutledge and Dr. Allen Berger.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Well, you want me to throw one out, or you got one in your hands right now?
Well, either way, but I got one that just fit. I just was looking at them as you were talking with Bryce, and I got one that fits that.
Perfect. Do
So
it.
and I wrote it not too long ago. It just says history repeats. Not much we can do about that, but we can learn new lessons each time around. And so the last part of that is just simply history repeats, but we don't have to.
Yeah,
We can keep learning even as just here we go again.
man, that's
There's always something to learn.
yes. I love it. Excuse me. What I love about it is we can think of maturity, emotional maturity, as what happens when we learn from our experience.
Yes.
And that we take that learning and integrate it into our being, into our person, into our personality, into our behavior, into our thoughts,
Yeah.
right? But it's such a simple thing, but it breaks down so easily, right? That learning
Yeah.
from our experience. I mean, it really does, man. What are some of the things you've seen that interferes with people learning from their experience?
Well, ultimately it becomes this guy. It's that Shud monster that basically is going to find fault with anything.
Yeah.
I just finished doing a little presentation for the earlier group about that. It's like no matter what you do, it's not going to be okay. And I want people to know. Maybe I'm getting a little off, but so often when I'm talking about self condemnation, self hatred, excessive self criticism, people will kind of give themselves an out by calling it some perfectionism. And it's because perfectionism is a nicer word, you know?
Yeah.
Perfectionism is self hatred because perfectionism is the requirement that we act and be beyond what is humanly possible.
It's self-torture, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
we can't do it.
We're torturing
It
ourselves.
really it's really like I'm going to get outside and start and flap my arms and get busy learning to fly
Yep, setting ourselves up for failure, man.
every time.
Every time. And
And it
like,
slows it. And you said slow down, and that's what the deal is. I appreciate you saying that because what it does is it doesn't just not help. It slows us down. It gets in the way. It it makes us do that repeat thing. Now
yes.
we're doing the same thing over and over again.
And we talk about that is right. We say insanity is doing the same thing and
Yeah.
not learning from our experience,
Hmm.
essentially, right? Expecting it
Hmm.
to be
Yeah. Yeah.
better, or people say different, but I think we expect it to be better.
Oh yeah. We think oh, this time will be different. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, much different, right? Yeah, I won't crash my car and wrap it around a pole this time, right? No, I'll do something much worse. I mean, it's crazy. But the should thing that when you brought that up about interfering with learning, that's it. Because as soon as I get into condemning myself for making a mistake, I lose the lesson.
It's
I lose
yeah.
the lesson.
We miss the point
Yeah.
entirely. It's like, um, yeah. I just had an earlier in the other had a conversation with another author, and we were talking about basically, what an author said to me before I wrote my first book was, if you want to write a really good book, you have to be willing to write a really shitty book.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of each project,
Yeah.
as you know. If this is the one
Yeah.
where it all falls apart and I realize I've lost whatever talent I ever had, it's like, so be it. I'm gonna do it. And that's what this woman was saying, because she was so animated about it. It's like we were talking about the should monster, and she said, no, I'm doing it anyway, and I don't care if I screw it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's freedom. And you, to use your word, it's freedom.
That's it. It's freedom. Right. Freedom to make a mistake and not condemn myself for it, not say I'm a mistake because I made a mistake. I mean, talk about self-hatred. As soon as I turn it into that, I'm
Okay.
very,
And when we do what you're saying, we learn.
yeah.
And learning is moving. We're going forward now.
Learning is the discovery of new
We're just
possibilities.
here. We're here to learn.
Yes, we are. We're wired to learn, man. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
we're learning machines. We really are. If you don't get in the way, our
No,
capacity.
I love, dude. I think I told you that the thing you added to my language about that was about learning from experience is not just something we can do or something we have a right for, but something we have a responsibility for. And that's I've been using that a lot, and it seems very powerful.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Tom. I love
Yeah.
this, man. I think it's a lot of fun doing that with you, man. Thank
Nutshells.
Not shells, but Tom Rutledge and Dr. Berger. Thanks, man. Thank you.
We're
Well,
easily impressed with ourselves.
I know that's
It's a good thing.
somebody is. I mean, no, it can be. All right, let me just I'm realizing what time it is. It's 9:20 right now, so I'm only going to do about 10 minutes, and then I'll bring Julia in and Carly and have everybody comment a few times, and then we'll open it up for some shares. But I wanted to share a few slides with you because I think they're important, even if it cuts a little bit into our sharing time tonight. So let me just share my screen. So we're going to be talking about emotional sobriety and emotional autonomy, right? But before we do, we usually do this in my workshops, but I think it would be nice to include in our time together on Thursday nights. Let's start with a set aside prayer. So please, read this out loud. God, please help me set aside everything that I think I know about myself, about my struggles, about intimacy, connecting, and love. Help me surrender my old ideas so that I may discover real love and emotional sobriety in my life. So just take that in for a minute. That's what we're going to be doing the next several weeks is looking at emotional sobriety and relationships and love. And you've heard me beat on the drum about this, and I really think it's so important. Bill says it about AA. AA at its deeper sense, AA is a quest for freedom. He talks about first the quest from freedom from our addiction, but then the quest from freedom of what he calls wrong emotions or wrong dependencies. And we'll talk more about that. But it really is the goal of working the steps is this that emotional sobriety creates this emotional freedom. And he said that specifically. He said this that here we begin, and this is in the 12 and 12 when he's talking about step 12. He says, here we begin to practice all of the 12 steps of the program in our daily lives so we and those about us can find emotional sobriety. So please, everybody note this. I have never heard this in meetings discussed that the outcome of working the steps is the achievement of emotional sobriety. First, physical sobriety, of course. Without that, we have nothing. But once we break that bonds of our addiction and we're no longer struggling with the obsessions and cravings, now it's all about the discovery of emotional sobriety. And the steps have been designed and engineered to help us achieve that. If you haven't joined us for the discussion of the 12 and 12, please go to the YouTube channel and look at the videos from about the last year because we've done that and we went back and we looked at Bill's discussion in the 12 and 12 and trying to really extract from what he was thinking about his ideas about emotional sobriety at that time. So please, if you want to learn more about that, do that. But tonight, what we're going to be talking about is this.
If we examine every disturbance we have, great or small, we will find at the root of it some unhealthy dependence and its consequent demand. Let us, with God's help, continually surrender these hobbling demands. Then we can be set free to live and love. We may then be able to gain emotional sobriety.
So when we were talking about freedom last time, we need to talk about how do we achieve that? How do we achieve this emotional sobriety? And really, it's paradoxical, just like it is when we take the first step and we talk about being powerless over our addiction, over our alcoholism, or whatever issue you're struggling with. That paradox, our admission of powerlessness, opens up the door to discovering a new power, a new way of coping. The same thing happens here when we admit our powerlessness over being able to be the determining force in our own life and that our life that we are being lived by the forces within us. When I own that I am the determined one, I'm not the determining one. I will say that again. I am the determined one. I am not the one making the determinations. These forces in me are deciding how I'm going to react. And I'm just carried along with them because I have abdicated to those forces. Think of this. Listen to it this way, the way that Dr. Jerry Greenwald talks about it. He says creative intimacy is an unending process of discovery and growth in ourselves and the life we build with our intimate others, sometimes our romantic partners, sometimes our close friends, etc. It involves a process of separate and mutual nourishment. He goes on to say this. He'll talk about love, that love to be alive in a relationship, to thrive, to grow, just like us, it needs to breathe. So not only do we have togetherness in a relationship, but we also have to value the separateness. When you have a balance between the we and the I, the togetherness and the separateness, a relationship has a chance of really growing into something that can be incredibly valuable. Greenwald says it like this. He says, it is not possible for me to relate to others intimately and allow and enjoy their full expression of themselves. See, that's freedom. In encouraging someone to be themselves, to be free to say whatever they need to say, to scream if they need to scream, to cry if they need to cry, to be upset with me if they need to be upset with me, to hate me if they need to say. If I can allow you, if I can allow myself that, then I can allow you to have that full expression of yourself. I'm not going to have rules about how you're supposed to be. I'll be free and I'll encourage you to have that same freedom. I won't have any judgment about you. I will be accepting you as you are, just like I'm accepting myself. But I can't give you that acceptance if I haven't accepted myself that way. It's impossible. We used to say it, if I don't love myself, I can't love anybody else, but it's much more complex than that. If I don't accept myself, I can't accept you. If I don't encourage my freedom and my full expression of myself, I can't encourage your full expression of yourself. That's what creates that space for love to breathe. Love breathes when there are a lack of rules and shoulds that are dominating and dictating the rules of engagement in a relationship. What I want is for you to be free to say anything you want to be free to say, and I want to be free to say anything I want to say it. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can tell me you don't like it, and you can get mad at me about what I'm saying, and have that. Go, let's go for it. But you see, we don't trust ourselves to flow that way. Somebody said, our greatest fear is not about dying, it's about living. We're afraid. We're afraid of who we are, what we're going to say. How can I really handle it? Can you handle me? If I'm fully myself, can you really deal with me? Julia's saying it, shaking her head. No way, Dr. Berger, you are too much. You can say that to me. That's okay. You can have that statement. I have to decide if I'm too much for myself. You can decide that too. We can be free to say whatever we want to say. That's emotional sobriety. That's freedom. That's creating space, what we call, and we're working on that book right now, is we're going to be writing a book about emotional sobriety and relationship, or I'm going to be writing, and it's called Room Enough for Two instead of Room for All the Rules. Greenwald goes on to say this. He says, creative intimacy is a way of relating between two people in which each finds support, enhances their potential, and at the same time protects their essential freedom and separate and unique identity. So, with that being said, I will stop my discussion of that and we will continue on when I see you guys in 2 weeks because I want to leave some space for everybody else to jump in and talk about this. So, I think I have to leave now, you guys. So, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. No.
Yeah, yeah.
No, honestly, what I was thinking about, I related to what Bryce said. I've been thinking a lot about perfectionism recently. For me, it comes up occasionally around work. It's always there a little bit. But there are certain things, projects that come up. I'm giving a presentation this Monday, and that imposter syndrome comes in, and the little, where's your little monster, Thom, comes out. And I think in order to gain that freedom that you're talking about, I have to first get a sense of safety. And I've been trying to sort of build an internal safe space. That's been part of my work. Because when my neurology is all wound up, my reptile brain takes over and it's very difficult to think. And to, make the next right decision and to learn from experience like we're talking about. So yeah, I've just been thinking about that a little bit, perfection and safety. And I think the same thing applies to relationships, right? We need to feel safe in order to have those conversations.
And when I was more emotionally immature than I am today, I depended on you for the safety.
Hmm.
See, I made you responsible for me feeling safe. The more emotional sobriety I get, the more I realize my sense of safety comes from my being able to trust myself
Mhm.
and my ability to be responsible, to be able to respond to the situation in the way that I need to respond to take care of myself. The
Mhm.
more I have that, Julia, the less I need to worry about you and what other people are doing because it really begins and ends with me.
Yeah. And do you think that takes practice?
Oh, it takes practice. It takes getting rid of the rules about what's okay and not okay to say and how to stand up for myself. And
Mhm.
sometimes to create tension. Oh my God, I don't want to create tension. You might not like me if I say something that's going to bother you, right?
Mhm.
So is it okay for me to say that I don't like what you're saying to me? You may get upset with me for that.
Mhm.
I have to be willing to for you to be upset with me. Okay, you're upset with me.
I'm upset with you too.
I,
Get in line.
I don't want to be left out.
I don't feel left out, though. Carly, what do you think about?
Well, actually, it's interesting because when you were talking earlier, I was thinking about the word integration, how we integrate and how we can conceptually get it, like we can get the concept of it, but what does that actually mean to integrate? And I think, part of recovery and emotional sobriety is that more and more veils start to come down and the ego starts to soften and the self-concept continues to soften. And when there's that softening, there's a vulnerability, there's a shakiness, there's a reorientation and an unfolding and a discovery of what's underneath that. And so it's learning to be in the shakiness or the vulnerability that actually helps us integrate And when we can hang out in that space, then there's a confidence, that there's a strength, there's a trust in our inherent being, or in our essential nature, or our higher power, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I think yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Tom?
Yep.
So my perfectionism kicks in because we had a Zoom bomber, and of course I should have caught it first. Bef Fair warning, I've locked down video and unmuting if anybody's wondering about their video. And so I was a little distracted, I'll just say, and I'm on high alert, right? But I wanted to go back to something that was mentioned about the perfectionism, and last week I have a book study that I meet with. It's recovery and regular people, and we do meditation and book reading, and we're reading Anthony DeMello's Awareness. This is like my fourth time through this book. And these types of books on the spiritual side, which are about reaching a point of almost, maybe not being affected, but being affected to a point of being able to see the separation by what part of me, or why am I getting affected, and to then move towards perspective, into spiritual side. And the work that we do here in terms of like emotional sobriety, and all the great work we've been doing over the years, looking at all these masters of psychology, and like the Stoics and the philosophers. It's not about ridding myself of this reaction, right? It's just about the going through the experience of being a human a little bit more humanely, or a little bit letting myself experience what happens, and to be okay with it, right? So whether it's the lash of the perfectionist, or the uncertainty of the child, that's waiting to be found out that, he's not good enough, or the grump that's lurking around, waiting to throw some shade on whatever's going on. They're all in the mix, and it's not about getting rid of all of that, and because then I'm perfect or detached to the point where I'm not experiencing life, and I'm not, the reason why I'm here to begin with. So the whole idea of this emotional sobriety experience, has kind of given me the opportunity to put all of this together in a way that, it's okay, right? Just even when it's crappy, it's okay. The first slide you put up there, Alan, about, if we examine every disturbance, the disturbance isn't the problem. Disturbance is actually the gift. Because if I didn't know I was disturbed, then I'd be out of the game. So I appreciate all that.
So go ahead and take us out, Carly.
All right. I'm going to start and end with the bell tonight. So, okay. Yeah. So as you let the sound of the bell kind of integrate into your body, into your senses, just take a moment, and like we've done in the past several weeks, just very lightly connecting to the simple fact that your body is breathing. And as you notice the qualities of the in-breath and the out-breath, you may notice just something that was provoked or touched this evening, maybe by the conversations, by the readings, by Aaron's work. So just taking a moment and including and turning towards what is in the foreground for you as we end our session tonight. And as you notice what is arising or what's in the foreground, maybe welcome your hand or your hands to gently touch that area, to make contact with that area, whether it be your head or your throat, your chest, your belly. And then directing your attention there and just very lightly breathing into that space. By directing the attention there, it's letting this part, this energy, know that you are being with it, that you are with it. You can be present with it, aware of it. And while there may be nothing you to do right now, your simple presence with it is a way of including your human experience, including what may not get attention in your everyday life. So we can often think of meditation is to simply meet our human experience, to let it feel the grace of breath, of higher power, of spirit, of connection, of warmth, of grace. So just taking these last several moments, returning back to the simple feeling of the body breathing, relaxing deeply into the exhale. And remembering that you can always come back by placing a hand on your body, by closing the eyes, and by coming back to the breath. And when you feel ready, slowly coming back into the space.